Your most authoritative show, The Pulse, is coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlimle on your digital terrestrial TV, because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. This afternoon, 3 teacher unions, NATS, NAGRAT and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers issue a September 30 deadline to the Ghana Education Service to address challenges they say is impeding quality teaching and learning in the country. Failing to do so, they say, will result in a strike action. This afternoon, we'll continue our conversation on whether there is a looming crisis on the labor front.
Is teaching and learning resources. In spite of the progress Ghana has made in improving access to education for all, there are still challenges inhibiting thousands of children.
Also this afternoon, be prepared to face arrest, fines and possible prosecution if you're heading out and not wearing face mask or violating any of the COVID-19 protocols. That's the warning as the Region Security Council begins enforcement of the protocols. We have detailed security plans to achieve our target this time round.
Variance. And we only have to activate the existing protocols.
Plus, on the Pulse this afternoon, pressure continues to mount on government, not only to relieve Health Minister Jiman Meno of his post, but also to make him face the full rigors of the law. A private legal practitioner who's leading the call says the minister is still liable for prosecution in spite of efforts by government to retrieve monies for non-supply of Sputnik V vaccines. This afternoon, we have a response from middleman Sheikh Al Maktoum and more from the Bank of Ghana and the Comptroller General on this matter. Remember, the Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities, Dignilu, Affordable Safe Sanitation, and also we are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and all our social media handles. Tweet at us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is @Denana Aisha. Always a pleasure to host you. Many thanks for choosing us. A private legal practitioner who's leading calls for Health Minister Jiman Meno to resign or be sacked says the minister is still liable for prosecution in spite of efforts by government to retrieve monies for non-supply of the Sputnik V vaccines. Saudi businessman Sheikh Al Maktoum, the agent in Ghana's botched attempt to procure the vaccines, has agreed to refund a total of $470 million to the government, being the remaining amount for the non-supply doses of the vaccines. He was due to supply about 300,000 Sputnik V vaccines in an agreement signed with the government. However, his outfit only delivered 20,000 doses. The Parliamentary ad hoc committee set up to investigate the controversial Sputnik V vaccine deal ordered the finance minister to retrieve the money. The Sheikh has responded to this. My colleague Elton Brobe joins me via Zoom for more on this one. Elton, let's start with the Sheikh's letter.
So, Aisha, what we have is a communication from the Sheikh to the Health Ministry in which is making plans to pay $1 billion that government advanced to him as part payment for the delivery of the 300,000 doses of the Sputnik V vaccine. So the letter is coming from the private office of Sheikh Ahmed Dabu Al Maktoum, and it's addressed to the Honorable Health Minister. The subject matter is refund to the government of Ghana. The balance of payment for the vaccine. We have not elected the first data request to refund the remaining amount of the non-supply dose from the 50 advance transferred to our accounts. Now, if you look at the breakdown provided by the Sheikh, the total doses that the Sheikh was expected to deliver to the Republic of Ghana amounted to 5.7 million United States dollars. Now, out of this amount, the government, according to correspondence that we have, advanced to the Sheikh $2.850 billion, which is part for the 50% of the doses were expected in the country. Now, the Sheikh says that 50% advance received in their accounts is $2.850 million United States dollars. But there's a minus of 380,000 US dollars, and this covers the 20,000 doses supplied to the Republic of Ghana. And I'm sure you're aware about the fanfare greeted this when the vaccines arrive at the Kotika International Airport. So in all, the Sheikh office is saying that they are only able to refund to Ghana an amount of $2.470 million US dollars, because they've taken out the 380,000 US dollars that covers the 20,000 doses supplied to the Republic of Ghana. And they are requesting acknowledgements and a confirmation of what they have come to conclude, that it represents the amount of money that is outstanding and that the Sheikh office is required to refund to Ghana. And they're also asking the government to cross-check the figures, and if they are satisfied with it, they should share with the Sheikh's office bank details where this money can be lodged into Ghana's account. So this letter, Aisha, is coming from the Sheikh's office.
And then we've had a response from the Health Ministry, right? What does they say?
Well, so the Health Ministry confirms the letter and also says that they are making steps to retrieve it. Now, this letter is signed by Kokwaj Mamenu, the Member of Parliament for Doma Central, also the Health Minister, and it says that I wish to formally accept your termination of our agreement dated 9th March 2021 for the supply of the Sputnik V vaccine as per a letter number, and they provided the reference to this particular letter. And the letter says that I also wish to formally request for the refund of the remaining amount for the non-supplied doses, which should be the total amount paid to our office, and the amount due for the 20,000 doses you already supplied, in line with your earlier email dated 25th of July, in which it was affirmed that on the 13th of April 2021, funds were transferred into your accounts as 50% advance for the initial batch of 300,000 doses. And the letter says that it will be very much appreciated if the amount is transferred back into the sending bank account as per the earlier swift advice dated 9th April 2021. And this is signed by the Health Minister. They provided contacts of the legal service should the Sheikh have issues transferring the money. So between the Sheikh's office and the Minister for Health, there's an understanding that the amount outstanding is $2.47 million US dollars instead of the 2.8 that the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee recommended to the Finance Ministry. It takes steps to retrieve outstanding as we have prorated is $2.47 million US dollars. And what is left is for the Ministry of Health. We are yet to see the communication, is to confirm that indeed 2.47 is outstanding, and then they will have to provide the needed bank details for the Sheikh to pay the money into the account.
This afternoon, there seemed to be correspondence by state actors leading to the payment of the $2.8 million to the Sheikh. Elton, let's start with the letter from the Comptroller and Accountant General.
So, Asha, what is unclear for now is who initiated the move for the money to be transferred into the Sheikh's account, because the correspondence as we have it did not reference where the instructions came from. Even though public sector practice, you have to come to the conclusion that obviously because the Health Ministry is leading this, the Health Ministry will have to write a letter to the Finance Ministry. The Finance Ministry will have to then write to the Comptroller, and then the Comptroller will write to Bank of Ghana for Bank of Ghana to make payment. But the correspondence, as we have it now, only captures the communication between the Comptroller and Finance Ministry to Bank of Ghana. So the Comptroller's letter to Bank of Ghana is dated 31st of March 2021, and it's addressed to the Director, Banking Department, Bank of Ghana. And the headline is request for the establishment of letters of credit for the supply of 300,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines. And it reads, Finance Ministry letter, they provided the letter number and the reference. And the controller is saying that you are hereby requested to establish irrevocable letter of credit in a sum of $2.850 million, half of the Ministry of Health, which in this case, the controller described as the applicant, in favor of Ahmed bin Damoud Al Maktoum, the supply in health. Designated account below to establish the letter of credit, and the account name is provided as Sheikh Ahmed bin Damoud Al Maktoum. The account number is provided. The IBAN number is also provided. The bank name is provided as Commercial Bank of Dubai. The SWIFT code is also provided. The branch is Dera. Dera is the local currency for Dubai, and then the country is the United Arab Emirates, and the account type is the current United States account, USD. Now, if you go down, it says that the cost incurred on the letter of credit when matured and other related should be debited to the Ministry of Finance sub-account, and the sub-account number is provided. And then finally, they say that in the event of inadequate funds in the aforementioned account, that's the Ministry of Finance, the government of Ghana has also provided additional account where the state can service and to take the amount of money involved. And that particular account number is also it is also indicated here, Aisha.
There's another from the Bank of Ghana, right?
Yes, so the Bank of Ghana also, in a letter dated 6th of April, 2021, in response to the communication that came from the controller, so that the correspondence is addressed to the controller and accountant general, and it says, request for the establishment of letter of credit for the supply of 300,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines. And the letter makes reference to the controller's earlier communication dated the 31st of March 2021. And the Bank of Ghana says that we hereby advise that we have established the letter of credit at $2.858 million in favor of the private office of Sheikh Ahmed bin Damoud Al Maktoum on the 1st of April 2021 through Ghana International Bank PLC London. Now, the letter of credit reference number is provided, and they've also attached a copy of the letter of credit documents, and they signed yours faithfully, Kweku Hammond, for head banking department of the Bank of Ghana. And it's also addressed to the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Health. And this clearly has terms.
So Elton Brobe with that update over there. This is an issue that is brewing up, and it's this afternoon we have a conversation on it. We'll be getting back on that topic because there's a private legal practitioner who is leading the cause for the health minister to be sacked and also made to face prosecution. We have all of that on the pulse. But if you're heading out today, be prepared to face arrest, fines, and possible prosecution if you're not wearing face masks or violating any of the COVID protocols. That's the warning as the Region Security Council begins enforcement of the protocols. There's been consistent rise in cases since May, leading to the third wave infections. But authorities want to bring the situation under control by compelling people to break the chain of transmission. Let's go live to the Ashanti region, the second hotspot in the country. Nana Ojima is on standby from Kumasi for us to assess the compliance level. Nana Ojima, how are people taking this, if you like, order coming from the security agencies?
So this is Tech Junction, and it's a popular lorry terminal here in Kumasi. As you can see, there are a number of people here awaiting transportation or vehicles to their respective communities or areas or destinations. Now, people are still not really complying with the protocols of COVID-19, as you can see, even though the security agencies and Regional Security Council are calling on the public to ensure that they wear the mask and also adhere to all COVID-19 protocols. We are yet to see that fully be adhered to by the people. When I came here, I'm yet to see a Veronica bucket or any flowing water, running water, which people can use at least to wash their hands before they get on the bus. That is not present, first. And secondly, you don't see anybody trying to tell them to comply with the protocols. This comes even after the Regional Security Council announced that they'll be checking that whoever joins a public transport is wearing the nose mask and adhering to all COVID-19 protocols, and that the punishment is that the driver and the mate will be held liable when the passengers refuse to wear them. And this is something that most of the drivers here do not agree with. They believe the people should carry their own burden. They shouldn't be burdened by the refusal of the general public to adhere to these protocols. So I have some with me here, some of the drivers and station masters with me here to talk to us about why they are not ensuring that their passengers adhere to the COVID-19 safety protocols. I've been here for some minutes now, and I've realized that not all your drivers are wearing the nose mask. Why is it so?
Like you're saying, the passengers, we drivers, we can't force the passengers to wear the nose mask. Why? Because some of the passengers, you tell him that to wear the nose mask, we fight at you. Or you get out of the car. We also need the passengers to work it. So that you can't force the person to wear the nose mask, because it's not our duty. Our duty is to find the passengers to go wherever you go. But if you say that you want to put that pressure to the passenger to wear the nose mask before you get the car, I don't think it's good for us.
So what do you think should be done? Because now the whole idea behind that, or behind putting the responsibility of this responsibility into your hands, is that it will help ensure that whoever joins a vehicle is well protected and whoever enters these vehicles are safe. But now you want government or the security agencies to take this responsibility. Why?
You want the government to put the possibility to use that different thing to assure the public to wear the nose mask. But for us, our drivers, you know, the commercial drivers, some of them can park over there maybe 20 minutes, 15 minutes, it doesn't get the passenger. But it's a challenge. All of the stations, they are working to find the passengers to go wherever you go. But if you say the drivers are to push the pressure to the passengers to wear their nose masks, I don't think it's good for us. So I have to give the advice to the government to find a way to do that thing.
Okay. Yeah. So in summary, he thinks they are businessmen and their focus is to ensure that they are in business. So sacking or not allowing people to join the vehicle because they are in nose masks shouldn't be their responsibility, and it will affect their business. Let me talk to this driver. I can see him wearing his nose mask. Also, now what to say? Okay, yellow, right? Now nose mask. No, we have a so be a chance and what to can.
Hey, Asamo. Drive for the money. Asamo to ya so dia. Asem papa chese. My baby have 4 hours. A drew me so. It will cast on share nose mask no see for more. Not just a 1 hour lose who ajuma. Say free no pa makwa buakwa 2 pe. Me the way kwa fen mako 2. Misi kaya say. Enti ese abanu mombua na security agencies no said omo ya ne kane no. Omo bua na yetimi eye ne sa. Omo bua ma nipa no timi hye na yen drive for the case here for so passenger manage nose mask. It will be a problem to us. A bit wiki a business.
So he is saying that he's been here for more than 4 hours trying to get passengers to join his vehicle, but it's because because the people are not coming as they expect. So if he should force people to wear the nose masks, a lot of people refuse to join the vehicle and it will affect his business. So he believes that government and security agencies should rather ensure that this protocol is well adhered to. Let me try and see if I can get into this vehicle, which is almost ready to leave. Let me talk to the conductor here. Mate, na nose mask no dey should be.
Apacho me dey share we come this here.
I didn't know I want to say, so what about so Jenny Pawuni amount for doing commonality?
And credit, a woman, I share, Umusana, I said, I had to be big Accra.
I didn't know woman, we.
Oh, so I said, I need to pay free air, a percent from a fan of Accra. I said, Shannon, home tea. But I don't want to say, Shebeshe, so a beshe, until our time we could do kind of money, because of passengers. I don't intend to impose best spread. And yeah.
But when himself, would you from cross to say?
Any credit, medium from Quay Samisha, since I learned about Chairman Sanity.
Okay, so he accepts that he's supposed to wear the nose mask, but it's difficult wearing it throughout the day. So he thinks that if he should wear it at a point and remove it at a point and continue with his business, it's okay. He can do that and be safe. But he believes that wearing it for the whole time will be better comparatively to wearing it intermittently. So I can see this vehicle ready to leave, but there are a number of people in it who are not wearing the nose masks. Some of them are wearing it beneath their nose and their mouth. So it's a challenge, not full compliance. But to some extent, I can say that compliance to this protocol has really soared, or we are seeing a little bit of raise in the people who are wearing the nose masks. Before the Regional Security Council made the announcement, it was very difficult to see people in the Kumasi metropolis wearing the nose masks and going about their normal duties. But to some extent, there is compliance. Let me try to draw closer to these ladies who are trying to, they are in a queue trying to get a vehicle to their destination. Madam, you need to come back. Most also nose mask. What's the action throughout the day? What's the action throughout the day? If you say in the whole day, what say?
Okay, me free fear and me fashion. The whole day na me was feeling. Me free fear and me fashion.
Say now feeling about compliance generally. Who say ni pashe? Say also ebano.
But most people, especially the educators, me for instance, and now a program was so make your nurse penny on it, so she always educates us on that. Until most of us need we put it on when we are leaving the home.
But are you worried that we still have a number of people who are adamant about this?
Yes. Because I still understand that most people do not have an idea that the disease is still in persistence. So some don't take it serious. And it's not the right thing to do.
So it means that you believe that education should also be raised?
Yes, we should have education on that. Much education should be put on it. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so let me talk to these conductors. They are still waiting for their turn to load their vehicles. And even though I can see a few of them wearing their nose masks, others are not. Let me talk to this gentleman. I mean, Musa say, at the country I want to the nose mask. I didn't have a nose mask on show there.
My shots are going to cry.
What do you know?
I told me,
okay. I say time be I say so that everything be about body.
I was telling you, I'm sure, but I'm sure I told me I say, oh, I bless. I say, me humia, me wo ya lebu o. I say me humia na me happy.
So this gentleman here is telling me that he's been wearing his nose mask, but at the moment he's tired. That's why he doesn't have it on. So I wanted him to show me the mask, but he is telling me that he left it in his vehicle. I don't know how true that is. Let me sit in their midst and get to talk to some of them. Hey, what they want your nose mask? Why you want? David, send any income. What you send the whole day?
I'm not mentioning the whole day.
It means I say I'm pastor also here.
Every blessed day be a machine nose mask.
They also nose mask.
They also.
Now what did you say?
My manager, my say, na me didn't say.
But over nipa egu abebre na won say a hardin so won show there.
You know cross ade ba won say adwuma na ye no isiam so mudi dey wait no this year me sound so dey ahye.
This gentleman's excuse is that he just finished eating, so he's waiting for some time before he puts it back. But the man on my left, it's saying that since morning he's been wearing his nose mask, and this is what he does every day on daily basis. And the gentleman on my right is saying that that's true. He's confirming what his colleague here is saying. So let me talk to the other ones, the other guys here. And most of them are not wearing the nose mask. You know, okay, yeah, catch you, me and Kasa. Now, what is the answer nose mask?
Oh, about your there be never be I say, yeah, to come with the Ayesha by a bedroom station. I said, I'm at the station there. Oh, yet as I am not a child whom minutes. So, I home it's here near didn't know. I am near Accra, said a bear, you be free air.
I say COVID no to say quite me be. As in send any person at be still everything how.
Okay, yeah, then say Saha de pete money there. Minim send there for how biama.
I put him but more tiamo donson.
Okay. But your next idea baby meshe.
So this gentleman is telling me that whenever he enters his vehicle, he does well to wear the nose mask, but immediately he leaves the vehicle, the nose mask is also on break. And I advised him that no matter where you are, if you are in a populated environment, there's possibility that you can contract the COVID. So he should wear it, and he agreed. So let's go through Tech Junction. Let's get to different parts of the area and see how people are adhering to the protocol. A number of people are wearing it. I can count some, but there are still a huge number who have refused to wear the mask. Sir, not international nose mask.
No, I had my basantina. You know, Okasa, and also shall not Casa will be anti. So it has entered mammy.
Now, would you say a COVID no?
Oh, Madame de Masonata, Baby de movie. The Masonata say a Libya Babami movie.
And what did you say? I don't know.
A lady say a Casalia Badia. A new one man comunca.
And see, we are paying for, sir. We are paying company for what station ha no be na dey na more year e dey aboa mani pa share nose masks, especially more joining vehicles no.
One thing is nose mask no do na share e bi nso share e na nipa no so ba na aka so won share nose mask o dey bufu anra aka so be ka kire no wani nye won nti adaruma obi won mo ba o ma nka sa nkire no obi wo be ba na di e share no by idea higher senke beboa say ye betime tu ase a nose mask nka enye ne bo onya din adama ebi kura nkombe so betime di bia bre wo ha na egu a oni akroba no onhye bia o kono akoyi ba kono de able so ma me pa choji ana bra pa choji nose mask enum visa nka beboa.
So he maintains that they are in business here as truck drivers and conductors. So it will be very difficult for them to sack their passengers who are not in the mask, and it will affect their businesses. So if government would want them to enforce this, at least government should provide nose masks, them with nose masks. Whoever comes and is not in a nose mask, they give the person one, rather than sacking the person from or preventing the person from joining the vehicle to their various destinations. Let me finally speak to this gentleman. On your master, we know Kasa, we are not Kasa. I don't quite also be no there to nobody I say. Okay. But now we are doing nose masks and saying that nation is it here Tech Junction area.
Nyamienu nukureni ye nose mask ne share Tech Junction ade e wo form because me and me Kasa me station master wa ha ye nose mask ne share no e wo form nti yeso so ye mpanyimfo ayeda station ano no yeso ya adwen say say na ye tie dia ye be hye passenger fo no ama nose mask no or mash because tama yare ne ba ye gidi no aban ne be kasa ye no you say sanity there was yeso ye boa nti e ba say uni nose mask ye ma won fro car no yi say what to be na wo de afro I say aban san gya ni mu kakra ni nti no I say nose mask ne de nyame nim kure ni tech junction ankasa de e wo from ye tech junction ko an even kura won na mo a e da de nti kura no e wo from kura e wo from ti sa aban ne betimi ahye kete to say the first no they buy na police for na mukrum ni nose mask ni ade be fi senke no e be boy because e binti say yare no kura e wo ho e binti ba yare no so de e wo nti say wo bo ho ban na me so me bo me ho ban a be fi say yare no so so beti.
Thank you very much. So he believes that the nose mask should be worn, but he had his own drawn to his chin. And when I asked him, he told me that he was taking in some snack, and that is why he didn't have his nose mask on. But he believes that they, as station masters and leadership of this area, should ensure that the passengers and other people who use their services are wearing the nose masks. So far, even though there is some enforcement in the Kumasi metropolis, it's very difficult to have more than 40% on the of the people on the streets wearing the nose masks. At Tech Junction, I'm here to cite a Veronica bucket to ensure that whoever comes in is get the opportunity to wash his or her hands under running water with soap.
Interesting, and listening to people's perception about wearing of the nose mask and the different reasons they're giving for not wearing their mask. But of course, you made the point that you've not cited any security personnel enforcing the order over there. And of course, in your video, we've not cited any policeman, any security personnel around trying to enforce that people wear their nose mask. But for the past 2 weeks since the announcement, what has it been like? Has there been police personnel deployed to ensure that there is enforcement of this order?
So somewhere last week, we had the Regional Security Council coming out to announce that various intersections and on the road we have number of security agencies or services on the road to ensure that this protocol is well adhered to. I did some check in the Central Business District, and earlier this week we have some security personnel, especially task force from the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly at the KJTR market, ensuring that whoever enters the market is with a nose mask. But aside this area, I'm yet to cite any of these security agencies on the street, ensuring that there is adherence to this protocol. But after the announcement, I've seen that the level of compliance gradually is rising.
It's our man monitoring for us in Kumasi whether people are enforcing the order for people to mask up and also obey the COVID protocols. We'll have the concerns raised, we'll have answers to all of that when Dr. Abuaje Da Costa, who is with the Ghana Health Service, joins us later on Zoom. But back here in the national capital, head of our health desk, Fred Smith, has more in the following report, looking at why it has become necessary for the Regional Security Council to roll out enforcement measures.
Main hotspot of the virus in all the 3 waves suffered by the country. As the gateway to Ghana, the first cases came in through the Kotoka International Airport in Accra and then spread through communities here before hitting other parts of the country. The situation has been compounded by people's refusal to wear the face mask, observe social distancing or avoid crowded places. Officials who've been criticized for failing to enforce the protocols are now responding, promising to deal with recalcitrant residents. The Security Council, the Public Health Emergency Management Committee, the Police Command and the Health Directorate in the Greater Accra region are teaming up to deploy police and other officers to conduct routine checks at public places, including schools, markets, shops, lorry stations, and especially in public transport to ensure there's strict compliance. Owners of shops and operators of public places who fail to provide the required logistics to aid the compliance will face sanctions under the new directives coming into force today.
It looks like the only way to get people to comply is to ensure that it is enforced. And so as a result of that, the regional minister has asked all the MMDAs in all the 29 districts of Greater Accra region to ensure that they empower their security agencies to enable them, arrest people who don't comply with the directive. But we are also on our part enhancing or intensifying risk communication activities.
And that was Dr. Charity Sapong there. Now, heads of the 29 municipal and district assemblies, together with their divisional commanders, have been tasked to conduct inspections at beaches, markets, and even trottoirs to ensure the strict compliance of COVID-19 protocols. The move, according to the Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Korte, is aimed at containing the spread of the pandemic in the region. Mr. Korte is speaking to JoyNews, observed that the security personnel will not hesitate to arrest and prosecute persons in breach of the protocols.
We are aware that there's a third variance, and we only have to activate the existing protocols. Now, we have directed that the security and intelligence agencies begin to enforce or to ensure strict compliance of these COVID safety protocols.
Is it going to be a wholesale thing or is targeted, first of all?
Well, if you recall, the last time we did it, all the assemblies were tasked to hold, if you and these bodies represent the security structure of the local governance at the district, and once they do that, they educate the people, they bring the awareness, they sensitize the place, and they ensure that enforcements are done. So all we are saying is that what we did some months ago, that the beaches and all that were closed, we want to revisit that. Mr. President has given clear directives as to how things should go. Open area, strict compliance to the safety protocols, i.e. and all that. And that is all we are saying. We are not reinventing the wheel.
So we see the policemen on the streets.
We see the security and intelligence agencies working together with the assemblies.
I see, but I want to understand this. The conversation about those who are in breach of the protocol, what then will happen to them when your people meet them?
Every act law in this world has areas of penalties. Right. And we all know the penalties when one breaches the COVID safety protocols. That will be applied. And indeed, it should be in conformity or guided by what the law prescribes when one offense, there's an offense. But as much as possible, the assemblies have been encouraged to try and educate the people more than using the brute force. Yeah.
So when we see any form of arrest going for a lot of education from the assembly?
I am not saying that we will not see any form of arrests. We are saying that it is a combination of how to ensure compliance and intervention.
Henry Korte is Greater Accra Regional Minister. Let's have a conversation on the enforcement at the various levels. And on Zoom for the conversation is Dr. Boaje Da Costa, his team leader, Risk Communication Subcommittee, COVID-19 Task Force at the Ghana Health Service. I'm grateful, Dr. Da Costa, for your time. What's the rollout plan?
Thank you, Aisha. I think listening to the various stakeholders that you've spoken to, your correspondent first mate and the regional minister, you can certainly see that some actions are now being taken. we from the Ghana Health Service have actually engaged extensively, and we believe that the regional security councils across the country, with the public health emergency system, the district public health emergency systems, should obviously take the enforcement to the next level in their various regions. Bruno, and you know certainly that we do have some emerging hotspots like Bruno, Volta region, and the Bruno East. So last week I heard on your set interviewing the Bruno East Regional Regional Director of Health Services. He outlined the measures that obviously that region actually put in place with the Regional Security Council. Now, Honorable Henry Cote also yesterday released a statement based on the engagement that we have had with them on how they are going to enforce this within the Greater Accra region. Other regions are also doing the same. We continue to engage to make sure that we get full compliance. Like I told you last 2 weeks, for behavior change, we are looking at 3 levels. We from the Ghana Health Service will give the awareness and the education and sensitization with our colleagues from NCC and Ministry of Information. Now, the second level is the responsibility bit, which we have come up with a strategy as well, which is the peer-to-peer responsibility strategy. So, for example, if you see that your colleague is not wearing the face mask, you tell him or her, please wear your face mask, or you don't talk to him or her. So you also take the opportunity to enforce it at your surrounding or your setting. And so that's the next step. So being individual or collective, let us enforce that at the second tier. Then the third tier is where we have the regional coordinating councils and the assemblies and the security services supporting us in achieving, obviously, total compliance. So these are the measures that we put in place to make sure that everyone do comply with the safety protocols. And I believe that it started picking up and it will work. If we give ourselves some few weeks, when everyone is complying, I'm sure that the infections will keep coming. I mean, it will start to come down. Let's bear in mind that this is for both the vaccinated population and the non-vaccinated population. So because you are vaccinated, it's not to say that you shouldn't comply with the safety protocols. Please comply with the safety protocols even after vaccination. The government on its part is doing everything possible to get the vaccines in for people to be vaccinated. As you watch, within the week, we've taken delivery of about 177,600 Johnson & Johnson to support our vaccination exercise. And it is driven by the effort of the government. So I think in all areas, you can see that we are trying our best to make sure that we obviously protect the population and achieve our goals as we have set for life to return to normal.
Dr. Da Costa, checks in Kumasi, for instance, at the terminals showed that there were no police officers there to enforce the rules. People blatantly disregard the wearing of the mask and the observing the protocols. Drivers who themselves are culprits say they cannot tell their passengers to wear the mask. Why is that? I know you are working in collaboration with the police to ensure this happens. When are we going to see police visibility? And there's also no Veronica buckets at the terminals, for instance, for passengers to get opportunity to at least wash their hands before embarking on their journey.
Okay, so thank you very much. I think we should look at it from the GPRTU's obviously setting. So what we've been doing within the last few weeks is to engage the various GPRTUs as we did initially, and also to make sure that their leaders actually take responsibility in enforcing obviously the protocols. It will come on. We've just started engaging the regional regional ministers. So I'm sure that within the next few weeks it's picking up. I heard from your reporter that it is gradually picking up and it will pick up. Now, let me take the opportunity to also send a strong signal to the GPRTU, the drivers and their mates that they are responsible for the safety of the passengers, and therefore they should not carry anyone without a face mask. And they themselves should also comply with the protocols. They are responsible to providing the hand washing facilities at their various terminals to make sure that passengers do comply, wash their hands with soap and running water. They are responsible to provide all those things within their areas. So I'll plead with them to do that. But I can assure you that our engagement with the police, the Regional Security Council, the regional ministers are actually going on very well. And I'm sure that they will be enforcing this. It will gradually pick up.
When are we going to see the police going round and ensuring that people wear this? Because at one of the terminals, one driver who's supposed to be helping ensure that people observe the protocol says he's been in the queue for too long, so he cannot waste his time asking people to observe protocols. That is not his duty.
Okay, so I think the responsibility has also been given to the assemblies. So we will have the assemblies task force going around. And I've seen some, like I'm saying, we've started an intense conversation with them. So actions are now being taken. So just give us some few days, few weeks, you'll see that all these things will be in place, like we started initially. I must say that that's why I said that we also have a second tier, which is the peer-to-peer enforcement strategy. So the drivers, the mates, their leaders do have a responsibility. It's not only the police and the assemblies task force, they also have a responsibility. And we've engaged them. I mean, we've organized series of interactions and training, capacity building for their leaders and some of the drivers as well. So through the Ministry of Transport, through Honorable Esiama, we've engaged almost all the associations within the, that space, like the GPRTU, the Pro-Tour or something, I don't know how we call them. We've engaged a couple of them to let them know their responsibilities. So I'm sure that they should really take it to their own, they should really enforce it. And I'm sure that further engagements will really help settle the dust.
How about stuff like the Veronica bucket that should aid people wash their hands at public places? How are you working on that one?
Okay, so all along we've been working with the local authorities. You see, so if you've checked our strategy very well, it's the local authorities that do provide those things to the various places. So, like I'm saying, we have just started the conversation for them to obviously go back to the basis for us to get to where we are, because the numbers keeps going up and we cannot continue to just sit down and just wait. So we are engaging to make sure that they also play their part. Like as for the COVID task force, it is multidisciplinary. So we have various agencies in there playing various roles and other things. And that is the strategy that we've been using. And I think, like I have said, things will continue to shape up. So let's all have play our parts. And I'm happy that the media is also interviewing me, but the media should also take it upon themselves to step up their parts in terms of the education and other things, and so that we collectively as a country achieve what we want to achieve.
So let's look at our situation as a country. Where are we now with our COVID-19 figures?
I think, in fact, let me be honest, I haven't checked this morning, but the last time I checked, I think it was around 6,000, 7,000 thereabouts. So I've been very busy. Okay, so as I can see, there's about 6,900, and the new cases, as as it is on there, is about 409. So, yes, we've crossed the 100,000 mark. So to me, I think all we have to do is how do we bring these cases down? How do we reduce hospitalization? How do we make sure that the population are vaccinated with the few that we've had? How do we make sure that we actually enforce the protocols in such a way that every Ghanaian is complying to the directive? So those are the critical questions that I have to, me and my team are battling with. Obviously, our aim is to make sure that we get 0 active cases. So let's all play our part together.
I'm happy that you talked about the Johnson & Johnson vaccines that are here to help us vaccinate quite a number of the people. When are we going to begin the rollout?
Currently, you can see that we are planning very soon. The Director General or the Minister, the task force will come out with a comprehensive plan as we have been doing. But serious planning is ongoing, including capacity building and other things. For health, we don't take things for granted. So now that we have actually receive this in country, we have to do obviously orientation for the vaccination team and other things that will be happening within this week. And I'm sure that very soon we'll roll it out. But we'll bring on board the details. The Director General will really take it. We'll announce this very soon for everyone to know where we are doing it, the centers, and our strategy for deploying these vaccines. Everything will come out very soon.
Dr. Da Costa, I say it's a double jeopardy for us in West Africa because we're told that there's also a deadly virus that has been detected, according to the WHO, which is in the family of the Ebola virus, the Marburg virus disease. Any alert from the Ghana Health Service yet?
Not at the minute, but we have, we've heard it. We also have that surveillance system that is able to obviously pick up some of this intelligence. So certainly, we will be coming out appropriately. Normally, we assess the situation, then we meet as a group or as management, then the Director General and the Ministry issues the alert. So certainly, we pick that up, and bear in mind, we work with our partners very well. The WHO, we work with them. We have their country office. We've just had a meeting at the Emergency Operations Center where all the partners were on. So certainly, we will update the country as well on that.
I'm grateful for your time. Dr. Da Costa is with the Ghana Health Service. He's Head Director of Health Promotions at the service. Let's go back to our earlier story, which is still related to COVID-19. A private legal practitioner was leading calls for Health Minister Kwajiman Menu to resign or be sacked, says the minister is still liable for prosecution in spite of efforts by government to retrieve monies for non-supply of Sputnik V vaccines.
Even more 45 days, that stands than before.
Why?
You see, Evans, every day, with every passing day, it's just getting worse because, you see, this is a person who has embarrassed us as a nation, okay, and that's even putting it very mildly, you see, having committed all these criminal offenses, all right, you're talking about committing the government with our cabinet approval and all those things. And you see, no, it's not as if we don't know that they constitute criminal offenses. So we know, but we're just thinking that why don't you go first? Then let's have some sober reflections and see whether his plea that it was his quest to save lives that caused him to do what he did should be sufficient to stop a criminal prosecution, or we should go ahead. Because, Evans, look, the Financial Management Act has some new set of offenses. So apart from the apart from the conventional causing financial loss, even right now, if you sign a contract and that contract creates an obligation for government to pay money, that act alone. So that is when you don't follow due process. and you sign the contract which commits government, that alone is an offense. Check Section 96 of the Financial Management Act, Act 921. Okay. And there are some other offenses that I'm analyzing as the conversation is developing. We'll bring that out. But so far, it's clear that, look, when you make an unauthorized commitment resulting in a financial obligation for the government, listen, that's Section 96 of the Financial Management Act. So this one, they are not even saying we should lose yet. No. Meaning, if you fail to follow due process, you do a lone ranger like Mr. Ajimamenu did. This qualifies. When you act as a lone ranger, you don't go for parliament, I'm even starting cabinet approval, and then you don't go for parliamentary approval. Then we have PPA so hanging in the air. These first two alone, unauthorized this commitment, that per se, that is so if you don't follow due process, it's a
Welcome back to the Pulse, to a conversation that's been brewing up for the past few days. 3 teacher unions, NAT, NAGRAT, and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers have issued a September 30 deadline to the Ghana Education Service to address challenges they say is impeding quality teaching and learning in the country, failing which they will embark on strike. Some of the challenges they pointed to include lack of teaching and learning materials, failure to upgrade teachers, and promotion crisis, among others. General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Musa, addressed journalists a while ago.
The pre-tertiary education unions of NAT, NAGRAT, and CCT Ghana. In spite of the progress Ghana has made in improving access to education for all, there are still challenges inhibiting thousands of children. The authorities have failed to provide teachers and pupils with modern aids to teaching and learning. We, the teacher unions, are hereby serving notice that if by the close of September 2021, and we repeat, if by the close of September 2021, and we repeat for the third time, if by the close of September 2021, all these issues are not resolved in full by the employer, then we will have no option than to advise ourselves in the best interest of our members within the framework of our collective agreement and applicable laws of Ghana. We, by this same conference, apprising the National Labour Commission, that's the NLC, of the development and intent in case of failure of the GES to address our concerns. Ours is a noble task which must be done, and that is what we are just doing.
Now, General Secretary Thomas Musa joins us via Zoom for more on this. Mr. Musa, I'm grateful for your time. Now, let's look at the challenges that you have cited. Lack of teaching, learning materials, failure to upgrade teachers, and promotion crisis, among others. What really are your concerns with regards to these? Hello, Mr. Musa, you're on the Pulse, and if you can hear me, I'm asking you to explain exactly what the concerns are with the challenges you've cited.
Okay, so thank you very much, and good afternoon to your good self and to all your viewers and listeners. The whole thing, or the whole press conference, could be divided into 2 blocks. The first block has to do with issues concerning with our collective agreement. We signed the collective agreement in August 2020. And since we signed that collective agreement, there are issues in them that by this time, we should have seen at least quite a large number of them being implemented. For example, we can talk about the underserved areas allowance. We look at the additional duty allowance. We look at the car maintenance allowance, among others. Now, as we speak, All these issues have not been addressed, even though we consistently draw attention to all of them. So that is block one. The block two has to do with the environment within the teaching and learning. Take, for example, when you go into the schools, the materials that are needed to get the teaching, learning and done, we have got quite a number of schools don't have them. For example, talk about the capitation grant. As we speak now, it was the base pay that was paid recently. But since 2019, the money has not been paid.
All right, Thomas.
And that is a huge challenge confronting the basic schools. That's a huge challenge. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, you're on the pulse, and I can hear you loud and clear.
So, like I'm saying, the second block has to do with concerns regarding the teaching environment, the materials that will be needed to get the teaching and learning done. And both are particularly at the first circular institution. Shockingly, if you look at the budget review that was read recently, you will observe that the first circular institution, there was no mention of it there. But the question is, how will the teachers there cope? The materials that the teachers are needed, or the materials that are needed to get the work done, they are not available. So we realize that, look, if we do not speak now and the students don't do well, at the end of the day, the teachers will be blamed, because we have heard somewhere that we consistently complain that the students are not doing well. They are not doing well because the resources that must come to enable the teachers teach the students, those materials don't come. And we feel that the time to act is now. And that is what we have done at times, because we consistently express and actually demonstrated good faith in all this negotiation. But we realize that, look, if we do not get this thing done now, it will not help anybody, particularly in the best interest of education in Ghana. And that is why we are bringing this thing to the fore, so that we get it addressed quickly as possible by the close of September 2021.
Ms. Amasa, what has been the practice over the years, especially with regards to materials to get teaching and learning going? And what engagement mechanisms have you used prior to this threat?
Good. Let me give you an example. Normally, at the beginning, let me give you an example. Recently, the head teachers have been asked to sign performance contract. So before you ask someone to sign a performance contract, it is two sides. You are both the worker side and then the employer side. The employer must tell you the resources and everything that he or she is bringing on board to get the work done. Aside that one, then the worker together with the employer, they will agree on the target issues, how they should be achieved, the framework within the target should be achieved, and all that. So we have this particular standing orders or protocols in place within the Ghana Education Service. But the challenge is that consistently, because the resources do not come at an appropriate time, which I have codenamed, we do the post-paid instead of the prepaid. Post-paid simply meaning that at the time that the resources are needed most, the resources will not come. So at the end of the academic year, when the year has ended, then the resources will come. The question is, how did the head teachers and the managers of the school completed the term? How did they get the materials to get the schools going? So these are the challenges, and we have been drawing attention to this particular thing, and we feel that no, enough is enough. We must get to a stage where we should tell ourselves as a country that, look, these resources are needed, and it should be prepaid. When I say prepaid, simply meaning that the resources must come before the beginning of the term, so that the head teachers together with the teachers in the respective schools can use them to get it done. And that the issue or the incident of post-pay can no longer continue in the basic schools in particular, and also the SHS. Otherwise, for example, we have heard that the president told us that we are currently at the tertiary education level, we are doing 80%. And that all things being equal, by 2030, we should do 40%. How can we do 40% in the midst of this? Take, for example, recently the World Bank told us that, look, if nothing is done to education in Ghana, in the next 18 years, we will have our 56% of our students or our children who cannot add value to themselves. And so the question is, what should we sit down on consent? We cannot say that we'll sit down on consent. So we realize that we need to keep the situation, we need to arrest the situation and get it corrected so that the children who go to basic schools can get quality education. And that is why they're saying it's being done at this particular time.
Let's talk about the promotion and allowances and the transfer of teachers. What has been the problem over the period?
Good.
All right, so
regarding the promotion, doing what we call the face-to-face, we're doing a face-to-face interview. When we say face-to-face, simply means that the teachers who qualify, they normally float at vet, you apply, and they will vet all of them. Those who qualify, they will then invite you to come for interview. But along the line, we realize that the process of interviewing people is actually, it takes quite an amount of time. And we can do that only once a year. So we sat at the table and agreed. Now look, let us rather use the examination model instead of the face-to-face interview. So for some time now, we decided that we will go with the examination way. But in as much as the examination is going on, there are huge challenges with the examination. I think the media is aware. Time the teachers are going to write the exams and they'll say they have not received their index numbers, that will become a huge challenge and we will complain. And the assurance is that, they'll get it done. And the last thing that broke the camel's back was recently when the results were released. We all, among other things, and how the whole country was engulfed with this particular issue. So we are saying that, look, the issue of the promotion, in as much as we agree with the written exam, this time it must be done in such a way that all the complications and the challenges going with it must stop. Because for far too long, almost every time, teachers will come out and complain since we started the writing of the written exam regarding promotion. And we want all the challenges there fixed, because if we do not handle it now, it will create a problem for us. Now, regarding the issue of I think I've spoken about the issue of the promotion. Regarding the issue of the allowances, I have already said that this is a collective agreement issue. And if they are paid, when you gather all the data, among other things, we are looking at a situation where, take for example, we mentioned the issue of the upgrading. People have, they've gone to upgrade themselves. Some did it by themselves. Some only did it, and they've submitted their document. The Ghana Education Service is expected to actually to upgrade them. As we are speaking now, some of them came out about a year or 2 years ago. They have not been upgraded. And when it came to the time of upgrading them, it means that you have 2 years backlog. Some have about 1 year backlog to clear. But unfortunately, the Ghana Education Service gave them only 1 month. Or for some of them, they only upgraded them without paying the arrears. And we said, look, this thing cannot be encouraged. If you are supposed to upgrade a person 2 years,
all right, so
and not the fault of the teacher, ended up upgrading, but so it means that we still citation, and we are hoping that either by the close of this week or next week, there'll be some engagement so that we find a lasting solution to the challenges.
So from now till the September 30 ultimatum that you've given, what would you be doing to ensure that you get your demands addressed? All right, so we're having a terrible connection there, but General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Musa, he's been speaking about the press conference they had today and pressing home the fact that government needs to address their challenges. But he's made his point, and he says between this week and next week, they're hoping that there will be some engagement with government to address this one. Let's move on to other stories. And our Municipal Directorate of Education in the Western North region is pursuing an initiative to facilitate the reintegration of schoolgirls who would like to continue education after childbirth. The Municipal Director of Education, Mr. Sebastian Atrama Diao, has therefore encouraged girls who got pregnant while in school to return after childbirth in order not to cut short their goals and aspirations. He was speaking at a ceremony to hand over a renovated 3-unit classroom block at Kangaboy, a mining community in that municipality.
Kangaboy Basic School was established in 1987 as a community day school. In 1995, the school was absorbed by the government. It currently has 176 students and 9 teachers. The renovation of the 3-unit classroom block was undertaken by Cape Coast Resources. The company provided monodecks for classrooms, fully furnished staff common room, lavatory, and extended electricity to the facility.
We are committed to sustainable practices throughout each facet of the business, and we understand that a strong dedication to the environment, good governance, and community relations not only add value to our stakeholders, but it also provides the opportunity to make a lasting impact and achieve sustainable growth. The good things that the management.
When Municipal Director of Education highlighted some issues contributing to teenage pregnancy in the area.
The Calamity is a threat to the girls in our community, but with the support of education, then the National Commission for Civic Education, the Information Service in our wing, we have been going round to talk to the children, and we are also educating the Calamity boys not to use our school girls. They should allow them to go to school, because after when the Calamity is over, they dump these girls and they become social burden in our community. So we have been talking to them. MCE, Education Director, have been moving around to talk to them so that at least they will not make use of the school girls, but rather allow them to go to school.
Mr. Sebastian encouraged them to return to school after childbirth.
When we come to enrollment, there are a lot of children here, but they have not been attending school. And one can just imagine, after the COVID-19, there was a program, back to school campaign. So we have entreated those girls who became pregnant and they have delivered to come back to school so that at least they will come and learn something about education. So we are encouraging the parents and entreating them that those children in their communities, they should try to bring them to school.
The principal of Enchi College of Education, Dr. Philip Nta, announced the college will adopt Kangaboy Basic School for its teaching practice.
My part and what I can do to support teaching and learning and to improve educational delivery is to initiate one of our plans. I did hint you that day, and I'm happy the Municipal Director of Education is also present. My college will adopt this school as a laboratory to ensure that the development that has taken place here will have a demonstrable learning outcomes.
A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
Government has deferred full operationalization of the Wale Wale watermelon factory in the Northeast region to March 2022, marking the third major deadline to elapse since construction of that project beginning December 2019. The West Mamprusi Municipal Chief Executive Arimeo Somolaki, who disclosed this to JoyNews, said the delay was as a result of procurement challenges.
Banks of watermelon fruit in parts of the region are going bad, and farmers are crying over their lost investment. The farmers said they had banked their hopes on the government watermelon juice production company, who they had been promised would have been completed before this farming season. The factory was a campaign promised by the government upon realizing the plight of watermelon farmers in the region. However, it's been 3 years since the ground for the construction of the factory was broken by the vice president at Logre. The factory is yet to be completed. The farmers are now pleading with the government to speed up work to complete the factory and put it into use. The factory should have been functioning by now. They would have been here to buy and save the produce from going bad. The government should be serious about the factory because we incur debt all the time.
I have to plead on the government that if the factory is on process, they should try as much as possible to do it fast for us so that we are suffering. Now that we were not having factories and the watermelons, it was buying somehow, but now we are having factories, or we are going to be having a factory and the watermelon is not buying.
Not only farmers bear this perennial brunt, but other players in the watermelon value chain, including sellers like these women and teenage girls who have pitched camps on the Nasia Wali stretch of the Tamale Polka Highway to sell the fruit. We had hoped the factory would be open this year. That is why farmers increase the cultivation of the fruit. But unfortunately, they failed to open it. The factory must open to save us. There is no market. We are out here struggling to feed, but there is a glut and people are not buying the fruit. The Ghana Exim Bank, which is financing the project, had promised to complete it within 9 months. The factory is situated in West Mamprose municipality, and the MC for the area has been explaining the reasons for the delay.
It is a concern for the government, and the government is aware. We have continuously informed the government about what is happening in the West Mamprose municipality. Wale is a very big hub for production of watermelon, and that is why we are happy that the president, His Excellency Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, think of Wale and has given us the watermelon factory. It has been, constructed. The problem of the factory was not because there was no money, but because of the process of procurement. Unfortunately and finally, it has been done. Money has been released to them. Exim Bank has supported them. They have also informed me accordingly that they have received funds to work on. So there's nothing to keep them.
Somolaki also said the factory upon completion will create direct employment opportunities for the youth, adding that the factory will be completed and utilized.
So I know and I sympathize with the people who have their products being rotten at the farm. I want to tell them that the government knows much about their problems. Their municipal chief executive and their member of parliament knows about their problems and challenges. And inshallah, together, we shall work it out. For our critics, they will always criticize because that is what they are meant for. But the reality is that the government is working. The reality is that the municipality is working. NDC should tell us in West Mamprose if they have ever brought one single project that was aimed of ameliorating the people from poverty. You can only criticize, but you have no solution to the problem of Ghana.
For JoyNews, Ilyasu Tanko reporting.
The National Ambulance Service says the abuse of sirens by a section of the motoring public is affecting its smooth operations. Ashanti Regional Manager Somik Dut Milone indicates some drivers fail to heed and pave way for ambulances on their sirens due to the abuse in the system. The service has efficiently responded to over 4,000 cases in the Ashanti region since the beginning of the year.
The use of sirens in vehicles is legally reserved for specific institutions, especially for emergency and security purposes. These include the Ghana National Fire Service, the Ambulance Service, and the Police Service. Ashanti Regional Director for the Ambulance Service, Somik Dut Milone, observed an increase in patronage of its services as public confidence soars. But there are challenges with human resources and the abuse of these sirens.
Now, people don't know the difference between the ambulance and then ordinary cars. You know, normally on weekends you see a whole lot of V8 on siren. And I mean, the drivers are fed up with the siren, and even when they hear the siren, they don't know that now it's an emergency or somebody is using the siren for the personal gains and all that. So it's really a challenge. When you are even on siren, it becomes difficult for the drivers to open and pave way for you.
Some drivers and pedestrians complain about the siren nuisance. They want enforcement of laws on the use of sirens. I am so much displeased when I see these things. I even feel less important because some supposed rich men would try to avoid the traffic by turning on their sirens. From observation, they are just ordinary people.
President in Keba, and I be a Speaker of Parliament, and I be a Vice President, and as a police.
It's reasonable if it's the president or any notable government official. But now, even ordinary people driving SUVs will turn on their sirens and try to avoid traffic.
At times, there are no emergencies, but these people will still force their way through. If it's an ambulance, fair enough. Aside that, those using sirens create confusion.
The Ashanti Regional Commander of the Police Motor Traffic and Transport Unit, Chief Superintendent Emmanuel Eduboahin, says the police are keen on dealing with the situation.
If you disobey the law, then it means that and you are arrested. Let me read a person who contravenes this regulation commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not more than 20 penalty units or to a term of imprisonment of not more than 30 days or to both. So if you use the siren and you are not permitted, this is the penalty thereof if you are sent to court. But don't forget, it is not only the use of the siren which is dangerous. If you are driving and you are facing oncoming vehicles and you are not permitted by law to use the siren and you are facing oncoming vehicles and your police arrest you, it can also charge you for dangerous driving because you know that what you are doing can cause danger to any other road user.
Emmanuel Osei reporting from Kumasi.
And as I part company this afternoon on The Pulse, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. I've indeed enjoyed my almost 2 hours stay with you. Do enjoy the rest of our program.